The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomatoes, warm and comforting, the kind of smell that usually meant everything was fine. My husband, Daniel, stood by the stove with a wooden spoon in one hand, stirring the sauce with a rhythm that matched the soft humming coming from him. He always hummed when he cooked. It was something I used to find adorable, something that once made me fall in love with him. Tonight, the sound grated against my chest like friction. I walked in quietly, hoping he'd notice I looked tired. Instead, he stayed focused on the pan, sprinkling basil without looking up. "Hey, babe," he said, smiling at the simmering sauce instead of at me. "Dinner's almost done. You're gonna love this new recipe." Before I could respond, his phone buzzed on the counter next to me. Normally I wouldn't look. I'm not that wife. I believe in trust. Well, I used to. But something inside me tugged. A feeling. A sharp little instinct like a pinprick against the heart. The screen lit up. Maya. Work. I froze. She was the new girl from Daniel's office. Pretty, young, overly friendly. I'd met her once at a company event where she laughed too hard at Daniel's jokes and touched his arm one too many times. I hadn't said anything because Daniel brushed it off. She's just new, nervous. Don't overthink. But right now, looking at the phone, I felt anything except calm. And then the message preview slid across the screen. "I miss you." The world shifted under my feet. The hum of the stove, the simmering sauce, the clinking spoon, everything went silent. All I could hear was my own heartbeat pounding in my skull, heavy and betrayed. I stared at those 3 words. 3 words that did not belong between coworkers. 3 words that did not belong on my husband's screen. My first reaction was shock, pure cold shock that numbed my hands. And then finally the clarity, sharp, calculated, dangerous. I didn't gasp. I didn't scream. I didn't even blink. Daniel still hadn't noticed. "Can you taste this?" he called out casually, oblivious to the fire that had started behind him. I didn't answer. My fingers closed around his phone before I knew I had moved. The heat inside me was steady now, focused, controlled. I turned the phone slightly so he still couldn't see what I was doing. I opened the message. My pulse hammered as the conversation unfolded. Her. "Are you still thinking about earlier?" I keep replaying it in my head. Her. "I miss you." Her. "Just say something." There were no replies from Daniel, not to these ones. But earlier messages showed he had replied before. Not flirting, but far too soft, far too comfortable. And that comfort had given her permission. I stared at the blinking cursor. A thought struck me, dark and decisive. If she thinks she misses him, if she thinks she knows him, if she thinks she can text my husband like this, then let her come see the truth. My hands moved before my mind caught up. I typed, "Come over." I hit send. Then I deleted the message from the sent folder so Daniel wouldn't see it. Then I placed the phone back exactly where it was. Not a second too soon. Daniel turned around, smiling proudly with the spoon held up like a trophy. "Here, try. Hey, are you okay? You look pale." I swallowed my rage. I had to. This was strategy now, not emotion. "Just tired," I said softly, forcing a smile. "Dinner smells good." He leaned in to kiss my cheek. I let him, though my skin tensed under his lips. The phone buzzed again. Daniel glanced at it but didn't reach for it. I did. Another message flashed. "Maya, are you sure? I can be there in 10. I locked the screen calmly. "Who was that?" Daniel asked casually. I shrugged. "Work reminder." He nodded and went back to stirring. My heart thudded. My breath grew heavy in my chest, but my face stayed still. 10 minutes later, I set the table. Daniel lit a candle because he thought it made dinners romantic. I watched him fuss with the lighter, my stomach twisting with a mixture of fury and heartbreak. He didn't even know what was coming. 5 minutes passed, then a knock. One sharp knock that sliced through the house. Daniel paused. "Who comes over this late?" I folded a napkin slowly, keeping my eyes down so he wouldn't see the satisfaction burning in them. "Why don't you get it?" I said gently. He wiped his hands on a towel and walked to the front door. He opened it, and I watched his shoulders stiffen from across the room. A soft voice floated inside. "Daniel, hi?" I stepped into the hallway. There she stood, Maya, hair-styled, lip gloss shimmering, a hopeful, trembling smile on her face. She looked exactly like a woman coming to see a man who made her feel something. Daniel stared at her as if she were a ghost. "Maya! What are you doing here?" "You told me to come," she whispered. His face went pale, his jaw slackened. His eyes flicked to me. I smiled sweetly. I stepped forward, crossing my arms, and with a soft, deadly calm voice, I whispered, "Daniel, why don't you invite your guest inside?" His breath caught. Maya's eyes widened as realization hit her. And I felt it, the moment the trap snapped shut. Maya stood frozen at the doorway, her glossy pink lips trembling as if words were either forming or dying inside her throat. Her eyes darted quickly between Daniel and me, like she had suddenly realized she had walked straight into a lion's den. Daniel lifted his hands slightly, palms outward, like he was surrendering. His voice cracked. "Maya, I didn't tell you to come here. I don't know what you think." "No?" I cut in. Soft, calm, too calm. Then how did she get the impression she was welcome? Daniel swallowed, hard. I don't know. I didn't—" "You texted me," Maya whispered, confusion wrinkling her forehead. "You said to come over." Daniel stared at her, then grabbed his phone from the kitchen counter, nearly knocking over the salt shaker in the process. His hands flew across the screen, checking messages, swiping through conversation threads. His eyebrows slowly collapsed into panic. "What the hell? There's nothing here," he muttered. "I didn't send anything. Maya, seriously, did you misunderstand?" Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "No, you said it. You wrote come over. I swear you did." I leaned against the wall casually, arms folded, watching him spiral into confusion. "Is dinner burning, Daniel?" I asked icily, though I didn't even look at the stove. He blinked rapidly as he turned the heat off. "Look, can everyone just calm down for a second? There's clearly been a miscommunication." "No," I answered, taking a slow step forward. "Not a miscommunication, a revelation." He looked at me as though I had just spoken another language. Maya hugged her purse tightly against her chest. "I thought you wanted to talk about earlier." My stomach churned. Earlier. Daniel dropped his head, rubbing his face. "Maya, we didn't talk about anything inappropriate earlier?" Her eyebrows shot up. "Daniel, you hugged me." The air left his lungs in a sharp exhale. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't even bother pretending to breathe normally. He stared at her, stunned, then shook his head like he was trying to fling off the accusation. "I didn't hug you. I comforted you because you were crying in the break room." Maya's voice cracked like a glass under tension. "You put your arms around me." Daniel's voice dropped into a frustrated whisper. "Because you were upset. I wasn't flirting." "I wasn't interested in you like that." Then her eyes watered. "You told me I was easy to talk to. You told me you trusted me. You smiled at me every time I passed by. I thought—" Her voice broke. "I thought there was something between us." Heat tightened my jaw. There it was. The truth. Daniel had opened the door, even if he hadn't walked through it. He took a shaky breath. "Maya, I'm married. I love my wife." I raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." He suddenly remembered. "And if I gave you the wrong idea, I'm sorry. But I didn't mean it that way." There was a fragile silence. Maya wiped her cheek quickly. "Then why did you text me to come here?" I stepped forward, my voice slicing through the tension like a blade. "He didn't," I said. Both of them looked at me. I smiled, slow, sharp, deliberate. "I did." Maya's mouth fell open. Daniel's face twisted in shock. Neither of them said a word. "I saw your message," I continued, nodding at Maya. "Every single word." Daniel's stomach visibly dropped. "Maya texted me," he started. "No," I corrected. "She texted my husband." And instead of apologizing for her inappropriate feelings, she decided to act on them. Maya's face morphed into panic. "No, I wasn't trying to destroy your marriage. I just thought he liked me. And you thought that gave you the right," I said softly, "to write, 'I miss you,' to someone else's husband." Her lips trembled. I'm sorry, but I wasn't interested in apologies, not from her." Daniel attempted to approach me, hands raised like he was defusing a bomb. "Babe, listen." "Don't!" I snapped. He froze instantly. "You allowed this," I continued, my voice low and dangerous. "You encouraged her emotional dependence. You comforted her. You smiled at her. Maybe you didn't cheat physically, but you built a bridge she thought she could cross." Daniel's expression flooded with guilt. Maya wiped her tears, whispering, "I didn't know. I didn't know she'd see it." I laughed once, short and humorless. "Oh, so if I didn't see it, it would have been fine?" Maya's face paled. She shook her head desperately. "No, that's not what I meant." "Enough," I said. You came here looking for the man you thought Daniel was. Now leave with the truth. She took a step back. Another. Her shame filled the hallway like smoke. I'm really sorry, she said again, barely audible. I stared into her eyes long enough for her to understand the weight of her actions. Leave, I said simply, and she did. Daniel closed the door slowly, leaning his forehead against the wood as though he needed it to hold him up. For a long moment the house remained still and heavy, as if the walls themselves were listening. He inhaled shakily, then turned around to face me. His voice broke. Why would you text her? Why would you make her come here like that? I looked at him, really looked at him, at the man who thought he could let lines blur and still call himself innocent. Because, I said, I wanted to see your reaction. I wanted to see hers. I wanted the truth to walk through our front door. He stepped forward. Please, just talk to me. I did talk, I replied. You didn't listen. His eyes grew wet. I didn't cheat on you. No, I said, nodding. But you made space for someone else to feel like she could belong in our marriage. He opened his mouth, closed it. Tried again. I'm sorry, he whispered. I turned away from him and walked toward the dining table, the untouched food now cold, the candle flickering weakly. Sit, I said. He did, nervous, confused, afraid. I looked at him, calm but sharp. Now, I said quietly, you're going to tell me everything. Daniel sat across from me at the dining table like a criminal awaiting interrogation. The candle flickered between us, throwing shaky shadows over his face, shadows that made him look guiltier than he wanted to admit. I folded my hands calmly. Start talking, he swallowed hard. About what? Everything, I said. Start with your coworker. Start with Maya. He closed his eyes briefly, exhaling slowly, as if preparing for impact. Okay, he whispered. I'll tell you. The room felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that made every heartbeat echo. I watched him, expression steady, waiting for the truth he should have told me long before tonight. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit he had since our early dating days. She joined the team 3 months ago. She was shy at first, awkward. Everyone kept telling me to help her feel more comfortable, so I tried. I didn't think it would turn into all this. And what exactly is all this? I asked, my voice cold but controlled. He flinched at the tone. She cried a lot in the beginning. Stress, family drama. I guess she felt safe talking to me. And you gave her that space? I pressed. His jaw tightened. I was just trying to be kind. To her, I said sharply. Or to yourself. His eyes lifted to mine, hurt, cornered, exposed. What does that mean? It means, I said, leaning forward, you liked the attention. You liked being the person she ran to. You liked feeling needed. Don't deny it. His silence was my confirmation. He ran both hands through his hair, frustrated. I wasn't flirting. I wasn't leading her on. But you weren't shutting it down either. He looked at me with guilt heavy in his eyes. I didn't know how. I laughed softly, bitterly. Oh, that's convenient. No, he said quickly, desperate. I just didn't want to make her feel embarrassed in front of everyone. Or lose her trust and make the environment awkward. So you allowed her to believe you were emotionally available? I shot back. His lips parted, but no words came. There it was. The truth he didn't want to admit even to himself. I tapped my fingers slowly on the table. When did the hug start? His face tightened. It wasn't like that. She was crying. When? I repeated. He hesitated. 2 weeks ago. A sharp sting pulsed in my chest, but I didn't let it reach my face. And how many times? He stared at his hands. 3. I inhaled through my nose, steady and slow. And what did you say to her that made her think she could text you something like, I miss you? He dropped his head. I told her she reminded me of myself when I started out. I said she was doing well. I told her I trusted her with the new project. And maybe I was softer with her than I should have been. I stared at him for several long seconds. You think softness is the problem? I asked. No. The problem is that you gave her a version of yourself that belonged to me, the emotional version. Daniel deflated in his chair. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said simply. He looked up, eyes red. I love you. I held his gaze. Do you? Yes, he whispered. Then why did it feel so easy for you to ignore the boundaries of our marriage? His breath hitched. I don't know. And that answer, that was worse than any lie. I pushed my chair back and stood up. Daniel looked startled, like he thought I was walking away. But instead I moved around the table and stood behind him. He froze. "Stand up," I said. He obeyed immediately, fear creeping into his posture. I walked slowly around him as he turned to follow me with his eyes. My voice was low, steady, firm. "You're going to tell me," I said. "Every moment she made you uncomfortable. Every moment you felt her getting too close. Every moment you ignored your instincts and mine." He swallowed. "Okay." "And then," I added, "you're going to tell me why you thought I'd never find out." His face crumpled with regret. "I didn't think it was serious enough to bring up." "Ah," I said, nodding, "so you waited until it was." He closed his eyes. I know I messed up. "Tell me everything," I repeated. He ran a trembling hand through his hair again. The first day she cried. She told me her ex had cheated on her, and she felt like a failure. I told her she deserved better. She kept coming back to me after that, telling me about her day, her problems, her stress. "And you never told her to stop?" I asked. "I tried," he said weakly, "but she took it as me caring, and I didn't want to make things awkward at work. So instead," I said, "you made things catastrophic at home." His breath caught and he nodded. "I'm sorry," I tilted my head. "And what about earlier today? What happened that she said she kept replaying in her head?" Daniel winced. "We were talking in the hallway about her workload. She was overwhelmed. She said she felt like she was always letting people down. She started crying again. I reached out and put a hand on her shoulder." "And did she lean into you?" I asked. He hesitated before answering. "Yes." "And did you pull away?" He paused too long. "No." I closed my eyes for a long moment, letting the truth settle like ice in my veins. When I opened them, my voice was calm, controlled, deadly. "You didn't cheat with your body," I said. "But you cheated with your silence." He looked shattered. "I swear I didn't mean for any of this." "Intent doesn't erase impact," I said sharply. He pressed his palms to his forehead. "Please tell me what I can do to fix this." I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. "You don't get to fix anything yet. You get to tell the truth first." Daniel nodded shakily. "Okay," he whispered. "Ask me anything." "Oh, I will," I said. "And you're going to answer all of it honestly." I stepped back and crossed my arms. "Because this," I pointed toward the front door where Maya had stood, "didn't happen overnight. It grew in the dark, in all the moments you didn't tell me." He nodded again, defeated. "Then let's bring it into the light," I said. I sat down slowly. "Let's talk about why you needed her attention, in the first place." The house was quiet, too quiet. For the first time since the night everything shattered, the walls didn't seem to echo with my heartbeat. My husband, Mark, sat across from me at the dining table, the same table where we once planned vacations, bills, and baby names. But now, it felt like a battlefield, and the air was thick enough to choke on. He rubbed his hands together, a nervous habit I'd seen 1,000 times, but never like this. Never with guilt attached to it. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The silence itself was a demand. "Tell me everything." Now finally he exhaled, a long defeated breath, like a man walking to his own execution. "Her name is Leah," he began quietly. "She started at the firm 3 months ago. 3 months of jokes. 3 months of unexplained overtime. 3 months of him sleeping on the edge of the bed, facing away from me. The puzzle pieces formed a picture I wished I could unsee. She was going through a breakup," he continued. "She didn't have anyone. We just talked a lot at work." I stared at him, the anger inside me flickering like gasoline exposed to flame. He saw it and swallowed hard. "It wasn't physical," he added quickly. "I need you to know that." I didn't believe him, not yet. Not after the message. "I miss you." He looked down again. I shouldn't have let it get this far. I thought I was helping her. I thought being supportive was harmless. His jaw clenched. I didn't realize she felt anything more until she texted me. "Mark," I finally said, voice steady in a way I didn't recognize. "She said she misses you." People don't say that to married men unless something has happened or been encouraged. He flinched like I slapped him. "I didn't encourage it, I swear," he insisted. "I never flirted. I never touched her. I didn't even know she felt this strongly." "Then why?" I asked slowly. "Did she feel comfortable texting you that while you were cooking dinner? With your wife in the same room?" He had no answer. Not immediately, only the sound of the kitchen clock ticking behind us. Half an hour passed. Maybe an hour, I couldn't tell. My whole world felt unmoored. I got up and walked toward the window, crossing my arms. Mark stayed frozen in his seat. "Why didn't you tell me she texted?" I asked without turning around. He didn't hesitate. "Because I didn't want you to think something was going on." "But something was going on," I snapped, spinning around. "Maybe not physical, maybe not what you consider cheating, but emotional, absolutely." His eyes lifted, glassy now. "You're right," he whispered. "I let someone else depend on me emotionally. I let someone else see the parts of me that only you were supposed to. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." There it was, the confession. Not the dramatic explosion I expected, but something exhausted, broken. And yet, something inside me didn't soften. Not yet. "Then why didn't you shut it down sooner?" I asked. He dragged both hands over his face, leaning back as if the truth weighed 1,000 pounds. "I didn't realize how much attention she was giving me. Or maybe I didn't want to realize it." His voice cracked. "After everything we've been through these past 2 years, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. For you, for us. I thought maybe it was nice to feel appreciated." My stomach twisted, so that was it. Loneliness, validation. A tiny emotional escape hatch. And he took it, instead of talking to me. I closed my eyes, breathing through the sting. "And what about me?" I whispered. "Did you ever think about how much I needed you? About the nights I cried myself to sleep while you stayed late at work? About how hard it was watching you drift away and not knowing why?" His chair scraped the floor as he stood. He crossed the room slowly and stopped a few feet away, close enough to hear my breaths, far enough not to touch me. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "I didn't realize how distant I'd become. I thought I could handle everything myself. I thought I was protecting you by not bringing stress home. Instead," I replied, "you brought home a coworker who texted you that she misses you." He shut his eyes tightly. A single tear escaped, and he didn't wipe it away. We stood there for what felt like an eternity. 2 people, 2 broken hearts, 1 marriage hanging from one last thread. Finally, I spoke. "Why did she feel bold enough to message you like that?" "Tell me the truth," he swallowed. "She thought I liked her." My chest tightened. "Because?" I pressed. He hesitated. "Because I was too kind. Too attentive." He shook his head, disgusted with himself. "I should have cut it off immediately. I should have seen it sooner. But I swear to you, nothing happened. I never even considered her that way." I stared at him, reading every shift of his face, every muscle, every tremor of guilt. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I believed he wasn't lying. He was stupid, clueless, emotionally irresponsible, but deceitful, no. Still, anger simmered within me like lava beneath the surface. "She thinks you're available," I said. "She thinks you're emotionally open to her. And she thinks I'm the obstacle." His eyes hardened now, anger finally directed at someone besides himself. "I'll block her," he said firmly. "I'll delete her number, her messages. I'll tell HR we need separate assignments. I'll do whatever it takes." I nodded once. "But first," I said coldly, "I want to know exactly what she said, every message. Every interaction, everything." He hesitated, but only for a second. Then he handed me his phone, unlocked, open, exposed. I sat on the couch, scrolling through the messages. He didn't sit beside me. He just stood there, waiting for judgment. Most messages were harmless, work updates, short jokes, casual conversation. But then, there it was, a message from her 2 weeks ago. "I like talking to you. You always make me feel better." And his reply, "I'm glad I can help." Not romantic, but not a boundary either. Another message, "You understand me better than anyone at work." His reply, "I'm always here if you need to talk." My fist clenched around the phone. Then the one from last night, "I miss you." And that was when I had replied as him, "Come over." I exhaled shakily. "Mark," I said, "she clearly thinks you're her emotional escape. You gave her too much access, too much energy, too much comfort." "I know," he whispered. "And I'm done, I swear." I looked up at him, at the man I married, the man who stood before me, terrified of losing me. "Tomorrow," I said, "you will tell her, clearly and directly, that the conversations end. No more late-night talks, no more emotional support, no more friendship." He nodded instantly. "And," I paused, "you will tell me exactly how she reacts?" "Yes." His voice trembled with relief. "I'll tell you everything." But little did we know, she wasn't done. And the next day, she would escalate in a way that neither of us saw coming. The next morning, the sky felt too bright, almost mocking. I barely slept, replaying every message from Leah, every missing puzzle piece, every moment I had ignored my own intuition. I wasn't sure what I expected today to feel like: anger, fear, resentment. But instead, I felt something sharper: clarity. I knew what I wanted. I knew what Mark had to do. And I knew this wasn't over until she understood her place. Mark paced the living room, dressed for work, but looking like a man preparing for a confrontation he never expected to face in his life. He kept checking his phone, inhaling and exhaling slowly, as if he needed instructions just to breathe. "You tell her as soon as you get there," I reminded him. "No delaying, no softening, no excuses." "I know," he repeated quietly. "I'll do it." He kissed my forehead before leaving, a gesture that once felt natural, but now felt foreign, fragile and uncertain. When the door closed behind him, a wave of cold washed through the house. I hated that I felt nervous. I hated that my mind kept wondering what she would say, what she would try, how far she would push. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what happened next. An hour passed, then 2. I kept my phone beside me, waiting for Mark's message, waiting for reassurance, waiting for an update. Finally, a text buzzed. "Mark." I talked to her. My heart pounded as I opened it. "Me. And?" There was a long pause. Too long. Then his reply came through. "Mark." She didn't react the way I expected. My stomach dropped. "Me." "What did she say?" Another pause. Then, "Mark," she cried loudly. In front of everyone. She said she didn't understand why I was being cruel. I closed my eyes, jaw tightening. Of course she played the victim. Women like her always did. Before I could reply, another message arrived. "Mark." She asked if this was because my wife was jealous. "Mark." She said she thought we were getting closer. "Mark." She said she thought I needed her. I stared at the screen, fury spreading through my chest like wildfire. She thought I was the problem? She thought he needed her? She thought their connection was deeper than a marriage? But there was more. "Mark." She said she wasn't going to just disappear from my life because I felt guilty. "Mark." Then she walked out. I could almost hear her storming away, dramatic, self-righteous, furious that her fantasy had been shattered. "Me." "You told her it ends, right?" "Clearly?" His answer came fast. "Mark." "Yes," I said it bluntly. "No more texting. No personal conversations. Strictly professional." "Me." "Good." But my relief lasted only seconds. Because suddenly, someone knocked on my front door. Hard, sharp, demanding. My breath froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. No deliveries, no neighbors. Something in me whispered the truth before my mind accepted it. No, she wouldn't, she couldn't. But the knock came again, louder this time, rattling the door on its hinges. I walked toward it slowly, each step heavier than the last, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. When I reached the peephole, my stomach twisted into a hard, painful knot. It was her, Leah, standing on my porch, smirking, arms crossed, eyes full of spite and entitlement. She wasn't crying now. She wasn't confused. No, she was angry. And she had come to my home to confront me. I didn't open the door right away. Instead, I took a slow breath, steadying my pulse. Then I unlocked the deadbolt, opened the door just enough, and stared at her. "Yes," I said, my voice calm, too calm. She stepped forward, trying to enter, but I blocked her with my body. Her lips curled. "So," she said sharply, "you're the jealous wife who thinks I'm after her husband." I didn't blink, didn't step back, didn't rise to her provocation. "Mark already told you everything," I replied. "There's nothing left to discuss." She let out a bitter laugh, loud, mocking, sharp. "Please," she sneered. "You think I didn't notice how miserable he is? How unhappy he looks, how much he vents about his life outside of work?" My blood turned cold. He vented, about me? I swallowed the sting. This wasn't the moment to let her manipulate me. "Whatever he said," I answered firmly, "it doesn't justify you crossing boundaries." She leaned in, eyes glowing with something dark and unhinged. "Maybe you should ask yourself why he needed someone else to talk to," she said softly, venom dripping from every word. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. She smirked, seeing the hit land, but she wasn't done. "Oh," she added sweetly, "and by the way, he told me everything that happened last night, including the message you sent from his phone." My heart punched against my ribs. So she knew I replied as him. She knew I said, "Come over." This was worse than I thought. And you know what? she continued, tilting her head, voice cruel. It proves exactly what I've been saying. You don't trust him. You're insecure. You're scared he'll leave you. I stepped forward, voice ice cold. You came to my house, I reminded her. You crossed a line that you will regret crossing. She held her chin high. He needs someone who understands him, she said. Someone he can talk to without being monitored. Someone who doesn't treat him like a child. Enough. I lifted my hand and pointed toward the driveway. Leave, I said. Now. For the first time, her expression cracked. Just a flicker, uncertainty slipping through the arrogance. You can't control him forever, she hissed. I'm not controlling him, I replied. I'm protecting our marriage, she scoffed. From what? From me? Then she leaned closer. Too close, far too close. You should be afraid, she whispered, because he deserves better. I didn't even realize how tightly my hands were shaking until I spoke. No, I said, he deserves boundaries and respect, and you have neither. For a moment she froze, like she didn't expect me to bite back. But then her mask slipped entirely. Her eyes narrowed, her face hardened. Her voice dropped. This isn't over, she warned. Then she turned, walked down the steps, and disappeared into her car. But something told me she wasn't done, not even close, and I was right. Because later that night, she would do something worse, something dangerous, and something that would shatter the last piece of calm left in our home. By evening, the house felt heavier than ever, like the air itself knew something was coming. Mark came home exhausted, his shoulders tense, his face pale. He moved slowly, like someone carrying invisible weight. When he walked through the door, I didn't say a word. I just watched him. He knew. You saw her, he said quietly. I nodded. She came here. Uninvited, his face drained of color. I'm so sorry. I didn't think she would. I know you didn't, I said. But the apology didn't fix what had happened. She said you told her everything, I continued, watching his reaction. Mark exhaled, rubbing his forehead. I told her enough. I wanted her to understand it was over. She didn't take it well. I almost laughed. Didn't take it well was the understatement of the century. And she said something else, I added. Something concerning. Mark looked up slowly. What? She said you deserve better. His eyes closed, shame flooding his expression. That's not true, he whispered. I don't want better, I want us. I want to fix what I ruined. For a moment, everything softened. He looked like the man I used to know, like the man I loved. But just when the silence settled, his phone buzzed. The sound cut through the room like lightning. He froze, I froze. We both knew who it was before he even looked. He picked it up slowly, like he was afraid of what he'd see. One new message from Leah. His eyes widened. What did she say? I asked firmly. He hesitated. Too long. Mark, I said, read it out loud. He swallowed hard, then finally spoke. She said, if you won't tell your wife the truth, I will. Meet me at the office. Now. Everything inside me turned cold. She wants to corner you, I said. Manipulate you, make you feel guilty. She won't succeed, he promised. I'm done letting her affect us. But his hands were shaking. Delete the message, I said. He nodded, deleted it, placed the phone face down. But we both knew she was capable of more. Much more. Hours passed. Dinner sat untouched between us. We barely spoke. Every sound outside made me jump. Suddenly, 9:13 p.m., Mark's phone buzzed again. Not a message, a call, from her. And this time, she didn't stop. It buzzed and buzzed and buzzed nonstop, over and over and over, like she had completely lost control. Mark's jaw clenched. I'll block her. No, I said sharply. Let it ring. Let her reveal how unstable she is. But she wasn't just unstable. She was escalating. After the 6th call, a message came through. You owe me the truth. I'm coming over. My breath caught. No, I whispered. No, she isn't. Mark, this is harassment. His face hardened. I'll handle it. But then, things got worse. Another message, then another, then another. Her words got darker, more emotional, more desperate. You used me. You lied to me. How can you throw me away? If you don't come talk to me, I'll make sure everyone hears what you told me. My eyes snapped to Mark. What did you tell her? He looked sick. I vented. About work. Stress fights. Stupid things, stuff that sounded worse than it was. Mark, I whispered, feeling the weight of his guilt. She twisted it, he said quickly. She made it sound like I was unhappy with you. I wasn't. I was overwhelmed and stupid. I believed him, but the damage was done. And she had ammunition. Then, around 10:02 p.m., headlights flashed through our window. A car stopping in front of our house. My heart almost stopped. No, Mark whispered. She wouldn't, but she would, and she did. A car door slammed. Quick footsteps approached. A shadow moved across our porch. Then, bang, bang! Bang! She was pounding on our door. My chest tightened. Mark stood, fists clenched. She's lost her mind. Do not open it, I warned. He nodded. But she didn't stop. She shouted. At first her voice was muffled. Then clearer. Mark, open the door! I know you're inside. We need to talk. Neighbors' lights turned on. Dogs barked. Cars slowed. She was creating a scene. A dangerous one. I grabbed Mark's arm. Call security. Call someone. I will, he said. But when he reached for his phone, everything went silent. Too silent. Then a soft click. My blood froze. She was trying to open the door. She had touched the handle. Mark stepped forward immediately, voice sharp. Leah, leave now! Her voice cracked. I just want to talk. You are trespassing, he yelled. Go home, she paused. And then, suddenly, she broke. Not in anger, but in tears. Loud, dramatic sobs that echoed across the porch. You promised you'd be there for me, she cried. You said you needed me. Mark's face twisted in horror. I never said that. Her crying turned hysterical. You made me believe I didn't, he shouted. Her voice dropped into a whisper, trembling, emotional, frighteningly unstable. You made me fall in love with you. Silence stabbed through the house. I felt something inside me crack. Not jealousy, not anger. Something else. Pity for her. Because she had built an entire fantasy world around a few friendly conversations. And now that world was burning. Mark's voice was steady, calm, firm. Go home, Leah, he said. I don't love you. I never did. Her crying stopped instantly, like someone cut the sound. Then, a shaky exhale. You'll regret this. She stepped back. Her shadow disappeared. Her car door slammed. The engine roared. And she sped away, leaving behind silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Mark collapsed onto the couch, face in his hands. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I created this mess. I hurt you. I let her get close. I let things go too far. I walked to him, placed a hand on his shoulder. This ends tonight, I said softly. Completely, permanently, he nodded. I'll talk to HR. I'll report everything, document everything. Transfer departments if I have to. And therapy, I added gently. For us both. Yes, he agreed. Anything, everything. I want to fix this. I want us. For the first time in days, I believed him. And as I looked at him, tired, ashamed, determined, I realized something vital. This wasn't the end of us. This was the beginning of rebuilding. A beginning born from the flames of chaos, fear, betrayal, but also honesty, confrontation, and truth. Love wasn't perfect. People weren't perfect. But commitment, that was a choice. And tonight Mark finally chose us. For real. Forever.